Elasticity and revenue. So far, we've been studying how the quantity demanded and supplied responds to changes in prices using the tool of elasticity. But elasticity can also tell us how our revenue responds to changes in prices. First of all, let's review what we mean by revenue. Total revenue is calculated using the formula total revenue equals price times quantity. Later in the course, we'll also talk about something called marginal revenue, but for the moment, total revenue is sufficient. Okay, let's look at an example of a store thinking about making a price change. A clothing store decides to have their annual Friends and Family sale, so they reduce the price of all their merchandise and put it on sale. Will their revenues increase or decrease when they cut their price? Okay, let's start out with an inelastic demand curve. Let's say that the demand for the type of clothing that the store sells is inelastic. That means that the percent change in quantity is less than the percent change in price. Now plug that into our formula for total revenue. Price times quantity. That means that when we decrease prices by 50%, the quantity demanded will increase by less than 50%. Remember, by the law of demand, the two things go in opposite directions. We're decreasing price, so we're increasing quantity sold. But the increase in quantity sold is a smaller percentage increase than the decrease in price. That means P goes down by 50%, but Q goes up by less than 50%. So their product is less. Total revenue falls. But what if we had elastic demand? That means that the percent change in quantity demanded will be greater than the percent change in price. So if we decrease prices by 50%, quantity demanded will increase by more than 50%. Plug that into our revenue equation again. P goes down by 50%, but Q goes up by more than 50%. So their product increases. Total revenue increases. So whether putting the merchandise on sale increases or decreases revenue depends on whether demand is elastic or inelastic. If it's elastic, then revenue will go up. But if it's inelastic, revenues will decrease. Okay, let's look at the opposite situation. What if a firm is experiencing increases in production costs, so it decides to raise prices to consumers? What happens to revenue? Again, let's use our equation for total revenue, price times quantity. If we have inelastic demand, so that when we increase prices by 50%, quantity demanded will decrease by less than 50%, so total revenue will go up. But if we have elastic demand, if we increase price by 50%, then the quantity demanded will decrease by more than 50%, and total revenue falls. So we've looked at inelastic and elastic demand, but for unitary demand, that is where elasticity equals 1, the quantity demanded increases by exactly the same percentage that the price decreased or increased. So total revenue does not change whether we increase or decrease price. The ultimate story here is that the impact of any price change on a firm's total revenue will depend on the elasticity of the market demand curve it faces.